Hello everyone. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and let's go.
Today, we dissect how a lifetime of devotion was traded for a lie, and the cold, calculated strategy he used to reclaim his life. Watch closely, because the red flags you miss today are the ones that will cost you everything tomorrow. For educational purposes only. Look, Rachel and I had a good thing. Or I thought we did. 22 years of marriage. We've got the house in the suburbs, 2 cars in the driveway, and a lawn that's the envy of the homeowners association. Every morning was the same. I'd roll out of bed at 5:30 a.m., grab a coffee in a travel mug, and take Lola out. Lola's our golden retriever. Best dog I ever had. She's 10 years old now, getting a little gray around the muzzle, but she's still got that puppy energy when she sees a squirrel. Everything changed on a Tuesday in October. It was 65 degrees out, a perfect, crisp morning. I was out on the sidewalk with Lola when I saw a moving truck, one of those big orange U-Hauls, pull up to the house right next door. The old lady who lived there, Mrs. Gable, had passed away a few months back. Out jumps this guy, maybe 35 years old. He looked like he just stepped out of a J. Crew catalog. Blue eyes, perfect hair, and a smile that probably cost $10,000 at the orthodontist. And he had this dog, a yellow lab, huge, muscular beast named Thor. Thor and Lola hit it off immediately, tails wagging, sniffing around, the whole deal. The guy walks over, sticks out a hand, and says, "Hey, I'm Justin. Just moved in from Chicago." I shook his hand. It was soft. Not a callus on it. I told him I was Jack. We talked for a minute about the neighborhood, where to get the best pizza, and how the trash pickup works on Friday. He seemed like a nice enough guy. Wealthy, too. He was some kind of high-end real estate developer. When I got back inside, Rachel was in the kitchen making an omelet. I told her about the new neighbor. She did not say much at first, just nodded. But then she saw him through the window. She watched him for a second longer than you'd watch a normal neighbor. "He's got a dog," I said. "Lola likes him." "That's nice," Rachel said. "Maybe she needs some new friends. She spends all day in this house while we're at work." I did not think anything of it. Why would I? We were solid. We'd been through the recession in 2008. We'd raised a daughter who was now off at state college, and we still went to the movies every Saturday night. Anyway, a week later, I noticed Rachel was getting really into these walks. Usually, I was the one who handled Lola, but suddenly, Rachel was volunteering. She'd get home from her job at the insurance agency at 5 p.m., change into those expensive Lululemon leggings, and head out the door. "I'll be back in 20 minutes, she'd say. But 20 minutes turned into 40. 40 turned into an hour. One night, she did not come back until 7:30 p.m. It was pitch black outside. Traffic was crazy near the park, she told me, tossing her keys on the counter. She was flushed, breathing a little hard. "You went all the way to the park?" I asked. "Why not just walk around the block?" "Thor was there," she said, her voice a little too high. "Justin was showing me some training techniques. Lola's actually learning to sit better." I looked at Lola. The dog looked exhausted. She walked over to her water bowl and drank like she'd just crossed the Mojave Desert. Something felt off. I'm a guy who trusts his gut. If a compressor is about to blow, I can hear it in the vibration before the gauges even move. And right then, the vibration in my house was all wrong. A few days later, I was cleaning out the kitchen junk drawer and found a receipt from Best Buy. It was for a Whistle Health limited edition smart collar, $159. I did not remember buying a smart collar. I asked Rachel about it that night while we were watching the news. "Oh, that?" she said, not looking away from the TV. Justin recommended it. It tracks Lola's fitness and her heart rate. It's good for her, Jack. She's getting older. I nodded. Sure, makes sense. But I'm not an idiot. I downloaded the app on my phone while she was in the shower. I synced it up to the collar. I just wanted to see what my dog was doing all day. Here's the kicker. On Friday night, Rachel said she was taking Lola for a quick potty break at 8 p.m. I opened the app. I watched the GPS. Lola did not go to the park. She did not even leave the cul-de-sac. The little blue dot on the screen moved 50 feet to the left and stopped, right in the middle of Justin's house. I sat there on my leather recliner, staring at that blue dot. It did not move for an hour. But the heart rate monitor? It was through the roof. Lola was excited. She was running around. And then I noticed something else. The app has a scratching and licking alert. It kept pinging. I felt a coldness settle in my chest. It was not the air conditioning. It was the realization that my wife was not training the dog. She was using the dog as a ticket into another man's life, and she was doing it right under my nose. I did not storm over there. I did not scream. I just sat there in the dark, staring at the wall. I needed proof. Real, undeniable proof. In my line of work, you do not replace a $5,000 unit because you have a hunch. You check the pressures. You check the voltage. You get the facts. And boy, was I about to get the facts. I spent the next 3 days acting like nothing was wrong. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I'd kiss her goodbye in the morning, tell her to have a good day, and then I'd go sit in my truck and shake. The betrayal was like a slow leak in a gas line. You do not smell it at first, but it's filling up the room, waiting for a spark. I went back to Best Buy. I bought a different kind of tech this time. It was a tiny, high-definition camera, the kind people use for extreme sports, but smaller. I'm talking the size of a silver dollar. I also bought a heavy-duty tactical harness for Lola. "What's this for?" Rachel asked when she saw the harness on the counter. "Lola's been pulling on the leash," I said. My voice was flat. "This gives me more control. And look, it's got a little GoPro mount on the chest. I thought it'd be funny to see the world from her perspective when we go hiking." Rachel laughed. It was a cold, brittle sound. "You're such a geek, Jack." "Yeah," I said. "I guess I am." I waited until Saturday. I told Rachel I had a big emergency job at a grocery store downtown. A walk-in freezer went down and they were losing $10,000 in ribeyes. She was thrilled. She practically pushed me out the door. "Take your time, honey. I'll take Lola for a long walk in the woods behind the high school." I drove my truck around the corner, parked it 3 blocks away, and pulled out my iPad. I had the camera live streaming to a private cloud server. I watched the screen. 10 minutes after I left, Rachel came out of the house. She was not wearing her hiking boots. She was wearing heels. In the woods? Please. She led Lola straight to Justin's backyard. He was waiting for her by his fire pit, holding a glass of Chardonnay. He looked like a prick. He had on a cashmere sweater draped over his shoulders like he was at a country club in the Hamptons. The camera was mounted on Lola's chest, so the angle was low. I saw Justin reach down and pat Lola's head. "Hey, girl," he said. His voice was smooth as silk. "Ready for your treat?" He threw a piece of steak to Lola, and the dog went nuts. Then he reached out and grabbed Rachel. He pulled her into a kiss that made my stomach turn. I saw my wife, the woman I'd shared 20 years of morning coffees with, wrap her arms around his neck like she was a teenager. They walked inside his house. Lola followed. They went into his bedroom. I'm not going to tell you what I saw next. I'm a man, and you're a man, so you can fill in the blanks. But I watched it all. I watched the clock. They were in there for 2 hours. 2 hours while I sat in my Ford F-150, sweating and crying like a kid. But then, something happened. Justin started talking. "When are you going to leave him, Rach?" he asked. He was lying back on the pillows, looking at the ceiling. "The guy is a grease monkey. He smells like Freon and old coffee. You deserve a guy who can take you to St. Bart's, not a guy who thinks a big night out is the sizzler." Rachel giggled. She actually giggled. "Soon, Justin. I just need to make sure the alimony is locked in. He's got a lot of money tied up in his retirement accounts, and I've been talking to a lawyer. If I play it right, I get the house and half his pension." Justin laughed. "Smart girl. Just don't wait too long. Thor and I are getting lonely." I turned off the iPad. I didn't need to see any more. The pressures were checked. The voltage was confirmed. The unit was terminal. I did not go home. I went to my office. I called a guy I knew, a divorce attorney named Miller. He's a shark. The kind of guy who eats nails for breakfast and sues the manufacturer for not making them sharp enough. "Jack," Miller said, "it's Saturday. What's up?" "I need a scorched earth policy, Miller," I said. My voice was steady now. The pain had turned into something else. It was cold. It was hard. It was the kind of focus you get when you're trying to weld a pipe in a dark basement. "I have video. I have GPS logs. And I have a wife who wants my pension." "Bring it all in," Miller said. "We're going to have a busy Monday." I stayed at a Motel 6 that night. I did not answer my phone. Rachel called me 12 times. She texted me, "Where are you? The freezer job taking this long? Love you." I stared at that "love you" for a long time. It was a lie. Everything was a lie. But the biggest lie was that she thought she was smarter than me. She thought I was just a grease monkey. Well, she was about to find out what happens when a grease monkey decides to take the engine apart while it's still running. I spent the rest of the night planning the grand finale. I wanted it to be public. I wanted it to be permanent. And I wanted Justin to lose more than just a girlfriend. Sunday morning was quiet. I went home at 7 a.m. Rachel was asleep. I walked into the kitchen, made a pot of coffee, and sat at the table. Lola came over and put her head on my knee. She looked at me with those big brown eyes. She knew. Dogs always know when the pack is breaking up. Rachel came down an hour later, wearing my old flannel shirt. She looked beautiful. That's the part that hurts the most. "Jack, you scared me," she said, pouring herself a cup. "You stayed out all night?" "Compressor was a total loss," I said. I did not look at her. Had to wait for the parts to arrive from the warehouse in the city. I ended up just sleeping in the truck. "Oh, you poor thing," she said, walking over to rub my shoulders. I felt her hands, the same hands I'd seen on Justin's back on the video, and I had to fight the urge to jump out of my skin. "You work too hard." "Yeah," I said, "but it pays the bills." "Hey, I was thinking, we have not had your parents over for dinner in a long time. Why do not we do a big Sunday roast tonight? I'll invite Justin from next door, too." He's been so nice with Lola. It's the neighborly thing to do. Rachel froze. I felt her fingers stiffen on my shoulders. "Justin? You want to invite Justin?" "Why not?" I asked, finally looking her in the eye. I gave her my best dumb husband smile. "He's a good guy, right? And your dad loves talking about real estate. They'll hit it off." She hesitated and then smiled. She thought she'd won. She thought I was so oblivious that I was actually inviting her lover to dinner. "That's a great idea, Jack. I'll call Mom." The rest of the day was a blur of activity. I went to the grocery store. I bought a prime rib roast, the expensive kind from the butcher counter. $300 worth of food and wine. I bought a bottle of Silver Oak Cabernet. Only the best for my guests. While the roast was in the oven, I set up the entertainment. We have a big 65-inch Samsung TV in the dining room. I hooked up my laptop to it. "What are you doing?" Rachel asked, coming in from the kitchen. "I'm putting together a slideshow of our trip to Sedona last year," I said. "Your mom kept asking for the photos. I figured we'd play it in the background while we eat." "That's so sweet of you, Jack." Her parents, Bill and Martha, arrived at 6 p.m. They're old school. Bill is a retired cop. He's a straight shooter. He always liked me. Justin showed up 5 minutes later, carrying a bottle of fancy French wine. He was wearing a navy blazer and a smirk. "Jack, thanks for having me," Justin said, shaking my hand. "Smells amazing in here." "Glad you could make it, Justin," I said. "Have a seat." We sat down. The table was beautiful. The roast was perfect. Bill and Justin started talking about the housing market. Rachel was glowing. She was sitting right across from Justin, and I saw their feet touch under the table. "So, Jack," Bill said, taking a sip of wine, "how's the HVAC business?" "It's good, Bill," I said. I stood up. "But you know, sometimes you find a leak that's just too big to plug. You have to just let the system drain and start over." The room went quiet. Rachel looked at me, her fork halfway to her mouth. "What do you mean, honey?" she asked. "I mean, the slideshow is ready," I said. I picked up the remote. "Let's look at some memories." I hit the button. The first image was not Sedona. It was the GPS log from Friday night. A big red circle around Justin's house, with Lola's name at the top. "What is that?" Martha asked, squinting through her glasses. "That's Lola's fitness tracker," I said. My voice was like ice. "Funny thing, Bill. According to this, Lola spent 2 hours in Justin's bedroom on Friday night. Her heart rate was 140 beats per minute. That's a lot of exercise for a 10-year-old dog." Justin's face went from tan to ghostly white in 3 seconds. Rachel dropped her fork. It clattered against the china like a gunshot. "Jack, stop this," Rachel whispered. "I'm just getting to the good part," I said. I hit the next button. The video started playing. It was the high-def footage from Lola's perspective. It showed the backyard. It showed the kiss. It showed them walking into the bedroom. And then it showed the bed. The audio was crystal clear. Justin's voice filled the room. "The guy is a grease monkey. He smells like Freon and old coffee." Bill stood up so fast his chair flipped over. He looked at the screen, then at his daughter, and then at Justin. His face was purple. "Rachel?" Bill roared. "Is that you?" Rachel started sobbing. Justin tried to stand up, but his legs gave out. "Look, Jack, I can explain," Justin stammered. "Explain what?" I asked. I walked over to him. I'm 6'2", and I've spent my life lifting heavy machinery. He was a little guy who worked out in a boutique gym. I grabbed him by the lapels of his navy blazer and lifted him out of the chair. "Explain that you're a coward who hides behind a dog to screw another man's wife? Or explain how you're going to help her pay for the divorce when I take every cent she has." I did not hit him. I wanted to, but I did not. I just dragged him to the front door, opened it, and threw him out onto the porch. His bottle of French wine followed him, shattering on the driveway. "Get off my property," I said. "If I see you near my wife or my dog, Again? I'm going to show you exactly how a grease monkey handles a broken part. I went back inside. Bill was screaming at Rachel. Martha was crying. Rachel was on her knees, begging for forgiveness. "Get out," I said to her. "Jack, please. It was a mistake. I love you." "You love my pension," I said. "I heard the video, Rachel. I heard you talking to your lawyer about how to bleed me dry. Well, guess what? Miller is my lawyer now, and he's already filed the papers. You have 10 minutes to pack a bag. Bill, Martha, I'm sorry you had to see this, but your daughter is not the woman you think she is." Bill looked at me. He had tears in his eyes. He walked over and shook my hand. "I'm sorry, Jack. I'm so damn sorry." He grabbed Rachel by the arm. "Come on, you're coming with us. We're not leaving you here to torment this man any longer." 10 minutes later, the house was empty. I walked into the kitchen. The prime rib was still sitting on the table, steaming. It looked delicious. I carved off a big slice, put it in Lola's bowl, and sat down at the head of the table. I poured myself a glass of that silver oak. I took a sip. It was the best damn wine I have ever tasted. The next few months were a whirlwind of legal filings and depositions. Miller was a genius. Since I had the video evidence of her plotting to defraud me during the marriage, the judge did not have much sympathy for her. We settled out of court. She got a small lump sum, enough to rent a crappy apartment across town, and I kept the house, the savings, and my pension. Justin? That was the best part. Turns out, real estate developers rely a lot on their reputation. I, accidentally, sent that video to a few of his business partners. I also sent it to the HOA board. Turns out, the board does not like it when neighbors use their homes for extramarital activities that involve the neighborhood pets as witnesses. Justin's company lost a big contract for a shopping center downtown. He ended up selling his house at a loss and moving back to Chicago. Good riddance. I stayed in the house. People asked me if it was too big for just me and the dog. They asked if I felt lonely. The truth? I've never felt better. I remember the first night after the dinner from hell. I was sitting on my back deck, smoking a cigar. It was a cold November night, maybe 38 degrees. I had the fire pit going. Lola was lying at my feet. I looked down at her. I thought about what you said, about taking her to the shelter. I thought about it for a split second. Every time I looked at her, I saw that video. I saw Justin's hand on her head. But then, Lola looked up at me. She let out a long sigh and rested her chin on my boot. She was not the one who betrayed me. She was just a dog. She was a victim in all this, too. Rachel had used her as a shield. "You're a good girl, Lola," I whispered. I decided then and there that she was not going anywhere. She was my pack. I changed my life, man. I retired early. I sold the HVAC business to my foreman for a nice profit. Now, I spend my days doing what I want. I joined a woodshop club. I'm building a boat in the garage. It's a slow process, but I like the work. It's clean. The silence in the house? It's not empty. It's peaceful. No more wondering where she is. No more checking the clock. No more fake I love yous. I saw Rachel one last time at the lawyer's office to sign the final papers. She looked terrible. She'd lost weight, and not in a good way. Her hair was messy, and she had dark circles under her eyes. She tried to talk to me in the hallway. "Jack, I'm so sorry. I made a huge mistake. Justin, he was not who I thought he was. He dumped me the week after the dinner. I just looked at her. I did not feel angry. I did not feel sad. I felt nothing. It was like looking at a piece of equipment that was so rusted out it was not even worth salvaging for scrap. "Good luck, Rachel," I said, and I walked away. So, here I am, 58 years old, sitting in this bar with you. Life is different now. I do not have the perfect family anymore. I do not have the wife in the Lululemon leggings. But I've got my dog, and I've got my boat, and I've got my soul back. Anyway, that's the story. It's a hell of a thing, isn't it? How a man can live with someone for 20 years and not know they're a stranger. But like I always say, you can't not fix a broken system if you do not know where the leak is. Once you find it, you have to cut it out. It hurts like hell for a minute, but then the pressure stabilizes, and you can finally breathe again. "Hey, bartender, one more round for my friend here, and put it on my tab. I've got plenty of money in the bank." The hero's biggest mistake was not trusting his wife. It was ignoring the subtle shift in the environment until the vibration of his home felt completely wrong. He allowed comfort to blind his intuition. First, always remember, when the routine changes without explanation, stop listening to the words and start looking at the data. Second, never underestimate a partner who begins to weaponize your shared past to secure their own future. Third, keep your emotions in check until you have undeniable leverage. The one who stays calm is the one who wins in the courtroom. What would you have done if you saw that blue dot stop at your neighbor's house? Write your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more honest case studies on modern relationships.